So today we are going to start our 2-digit by 2-digit adventure. We are going to start by working on multiplying by multiples of 10. So for example, that would look like a problem like this. 51 times 30, okay? So you can use strategies you already know to help yourself solve this problem. Here's how we can do it. So remember when I gave you problems before like this, 70 times 5? And I said to look for the basic fact. So 7 times 5, which is 35. And then I said tack on as many zeros are on this number. Well, 350. So you did that before when you had problems like this. Very similar concept here. So what we're going to do with this 51 times 30 is we're going to look for the 2 by 1 fact. So, or not 2 by 1 fact, sorry, the 2 by 1 problem, 51 times 3. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to solve 51 times 3. And this means I can use whichever strategy I'm comfortable with. I can use the traditional algorithm. I can draw an area model out. I can use the distributive property. Whatever makes me happy, I can do that. So I'm going to go ahead and use the traditional. 3 times 1 gives me 3. 5 times 3 gives me 15. 153. Awesome. So what I'm going to do now is that's not my correct answer because I did 51 times 30. Well, all I need to do is tack on a 0. 1,530. It works the same way as you did with these problems. So all you need to do is find the 2 by 1 problem, solve it, however makes you happy, and add a 0. That's simple. So let's try another one. So I'm going to go ahead and give you the problem. Let's do 25 times 60. Go ahead and thinking about what I just showed you, solve that on your own. All right, so step 1, find your 2 by 1 problem. So 25 times 6, okay? 25 times 6. All right, I'm going to go ahead and use the area model to solve this one. So 25 is going to break into 20 plus 5, 20 and 5. And I'm still multiplying by 6, okay? 2 times 6 gives me 12. Tack on that 0. 6 times 5 gives me 30. Add these two together and I get 150. Okay, that's the answer to 25 times 6 though, okay? I want 25 times 60. So all I need to do is add on one more 0. 1,500. Okay, that's all you have to do. All right, let's do one more. Let's do 68 times 40. Go ahead and solve that problem. 1, 2, 3. All right, so step 1, find your 2 by 1, 68 times 4, and go ahead and solve that. Oh, that might be a little too light. I want to use yellow, but it might be too light. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and use the distributive property. 60 plus 8, sorry if that ended up being too light, 60 times 4 plus 8 times 4. So I'm getting my 68 groups, okay? 6 times 4 gives me 24. Tack on the 0. Plus 8 times 4 gives me 32. And I get 272. Now, that is the answer to 68 times 4. Not the answer to 68 times 40. To get that answer, all I need to do is pay attention to the fact that there was a 0 there and add it on, and then I have 2,720. Okay? Now, what if they asked you to solve for this? If you were asked to solve for 22 times y equals 440. We're solving for y. Remember we talked about variables a little bit while back. We're solving for this variable of y. A variable is just a placeholder for a number that we don't know. So go ahead and see if you can figure that out. All right, here is what I recommend doing first to solve a problem like this. I would go ahead and look at these two numbers, 22 and 44. Well, what might be the relationship between those two numbers? Well, I know that 44 is twice as much as 22. So if I do 22 times 2, I get 44. Okay? But that's 440. So I need 10 times as much. Oh, well, I'll just add on a 0. 22 times 20 gives me 440. I'll show you why that works. So 22 times 20, I'm looking for my basic fact. 2 times 2, or 22 times 22 gives me 44. I already know that. Can solve it for you traditional logarithm way really quick to show you. Okay? And then I'm tacking on a 0. It works. All right? So if you see problems like that, where they're asking you to find that missing number, that variable, just pay attention to one of these numbers and that number in the problem that doesn't have to do with the 0. So take off the zeros and really just look for a basic fact or look for a basic 2 by 1. Look for those things first. Those zeros are just add-ons to make the number larger. All right, I do have one more thing I want to show you. I do want to practice a word problem with you really quick. Let's see. All right, Pablo found out that every classroom has 34 desks. There are 30 classrooms. How many desks are in the school? So go ahead and think about this and solve it on your own. Pablo found that every classroom has 34 desks. There are 30 classrooms. How many desks are in the school? All right, so if I was to approach this problem, I would think to myself, well, there's 34 desks and there's 30 classrooms, so 34 groups of 30, which is the same thing as 34 times 30. I want to make this easy on myself, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to look for my 2 by 1. 34 times 3. I'm going to go ahead and use the area model to solve this one. That's 30 and 4 times 3. 3 times 3 gives me 9, and then tack on a 0. 3 times 4 gives me 12. I'm going to add those two numbers together, and I'm going to get 102. Okay? Then, that is the answer to this, not the answer to this. So, to get that, I need to tack on a 0. And I can say there are 1,020 desks in Pablo's school. There we go. So now you have a strategy for solving some 2 by 2 problems when the 2-digit number is being multiplied by a multiple of 10. Keep that in mind, and good luck.